All right, welcome. For those of you that are going to be watching this replay, this is the replay for the Project One webinar for EDTC 614, Introduction to Distance Learning. So hopefully you're able to watch this and get your questions answered in relation to your topic and your paper, which, by the way, is due on Sunday, September 29th at 11:59 p.m. EST. So if you have any questions, please email me after this call. But in the meantime, we're going to start off with a general Q&A. Irma is our one sole student who joined us today. So thank you, Irma, for joining us. And I guess we'll start with what questions do you have for me regarding Project One?
Okay, so the instructions state that we can use that we should use two sources. And is the book a third source or one of the two sources?
It's a third source. So the idea is you should have a total of three. I have to be careful when I say that. A minimum total of three. One of them, I specifically want you to use the book since I specifically pulled the topics directly from the chapters. And then at minimum, the other two should be peer-reviewed articles, which could be from either Google Scholar, it could be from the Gorini Library database. So it's really up to you to decide. Some people may decide to go and look at ebooks, and that's perfectly acceptable too for the purposes of this project, especially for some of your topics. Depending on your topic, you may need to dig into some of the ebooks for more detailed information.
Okay. How is there a limit to, I typically try to go within the past 10 years just to keep it more current. Is there a limit to how far back we can research?
Excellent question. Typically, I recommend in the last 5 years as the best case scenario. However, depending on the topic, because right now everything's all about AI, everything's all about, in this case, virtual reality and all kinds of other topics. You may not find, at least through our normal sources, through NJCU's library or through Google Scholar, the most recent articles on certain topics. So we'll say 10 is your maximum window unless there's some, I would say, extreme circumstances where you just can't find anything in your topic and then we have to go beyond the 10-year window. Then you can just reach out to me and we can take a look at the resource and just make sure that it makes sense. One of those might be, for those who are watching this recording, social constructivism. Social constructivism is part of constructivist learning theory, and that particular topic was created by like the seminal workers from Vygotsky in 1977, at least the English translated version, I should say. So in that particular case, like that's a seminal work, so that's something you'd want to use. But for the general topics, you should hopefully be able to find everything in the last 10 years.
Okay. Besides peer-reviewed journals, can we use any other sources like news sources, articles from reputable news sources besides peer-reviewed? And I already found a couple of them for my topic. Using EBSCOhost because that's what we use at my school.
Perfect. Yeah.
But just in case, because we are talking about multimedia and that's huge now, if we find something from a reputable news source, can we use something like that as well?
Yep. I would say short answer is yes. There's always a hierarchy of what's preferred. So it's always peer-reviewed articles being the highest standard in terms of what's been reviewed and it's research-based. In other words, it's not just somebody putting their thoughts out on a web page on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually the highest preference, followed by certain textbooks. Keyword is reputable websites and
Right.
reputable organizations, and then you kind of go from there. But I'd say if you're not sure, reach out, email me, let me know. I'm happy to review, because sometimes for certain topics it may not be so obvious, right? And in some cases, we have to make sure that even if it looks like a legitimate website, there might be, for example, some organizations that will promote certain ideas. A great example of this, there was an article that I looked at a couple of months ago because I was writing a chapter for a book that got published, and it was on it was on communities of practice and how people learn in social environments, communities. And although there was a lot of research in there, a lot of the work was basically self-serving in terms of it was really a marketing piece.
Mm-hmm.
How
So it's
great
bias
their
research.
so I just said, yeah, like that now starts because then that could also question my credibility as a writer, as an author. So yeah, it's just as long as it's reputable, quote unquote, and it's valid research that you could find in other places, great. If you're not sure, just reach out and let me know. Um, my favorite that I always tell all the students, even though I shouldn't have to say it, but it seems like every semester, I always have to remind people Wikipedia is not a legitimate resource. So,
Okay, so oh, for the APA, I'm an English
yes,
teacher, so we do MLA.
that's okay.
In the past, I've done APA while I was at college for my BA. Um, do you require footnotes? Because some professors do, some professors don't. Do you want us to have footnotes in our 3-page research paper?
Excellent question. The answer is no, because what you will use instead are the citations. The citations is at least in current seventh edition APA format, right now it just primarily uses your citations as the main source, which then is going to point to a reference in your reference page at the very end. By the way, I'll be releasing formatting on the reference page on Sunday night, so you'll have that information available to you. But yeah, that's no footnotes are not required. Tables of content not required. A cover page is not required. This is literally like I like to keep these papers, especially for this class, simple. It's your title and go right into the three main sections that I've given you, which is your introduction, your research, and then your future areas of slash future areas of research slash conclusions. So you're going to keep it really simple. Yeah, no graphs, no tables. We don't need to go down any of that. There is absolutely no need. Please do not send me something with a cover page.
Okay, I that's all the questions I think I had. I think.
Perfect. Do you have any questions about I mean, because this also could be relevant for some of the students as well. Do you have any questions about I mean, you've already mentioned that you have searched for some topics, you have been able to find some articles, which is great. Do you have any questions about those articles, or do you want me to look at something in terms of those articles?
I can quickly, it's gonna take me a second just to pull up because I have them saved. We all know that sometimes it's better to pull them out of like EBSCOhost or JSTOR
Yes.
just in case we can't connect. So I have them saved to a
Yeah.
file. Um, let's see.
And that's a really smart idea for everyone involved because if you find yourself in a horrible position where all of a sudden you're quoting something and now you can't find that reference,
Mhm.
that is a nightmare. Believe me, I've been through that having written chapters and articles, and I can tell you it's not fun at all.
My two articles, I think, well, one is from 2020, embodying the past, designing the future, technological determinism reconsidered in technology education. Looks good. I read through it. I'm still gonna keep reading through that article. It's a couple of pages long. Um, I think I'm good with that. What you gave me the taking a learner-centered approach to learning with technology, why we should avoid technology fads. I appreciate that you gave me that one because I'm such a proponent to less is more solely because for a while our school was on this kick of let's get so many apps, let's get so many different websites that we can use, and they were paying for these subscriptions, and without maybe one teacher said, hey, this looks good, let's get it, and I'm like, why? And then we wind up paying for a year of subscriptions never to renew again.
Mhm. It's
So
the
when you said
absolute
that, was
worst
great.
reason. It's the absolute worst reason to ever get a technology. It's because, oh my God, this looks cool. This looks amazing. Let's just get it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute worst reason to ever implement technology,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a school system. Never mind the cost, never mind the implication. Um, if there's even PD even offered on those tools, I mean, yeah, I share your approach of less is more.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it's
Well,
why it's an important topic.
And
It's
typically make the teacher who suggested or recommended the website or application or whatever, they often make them do a PD if it sounds good. And yeah, the teacher could absolutely fluff it and be biased on it, where the masses can look at them and say, this is not how we run our classrooms or how our students learn. We're at different grade levels. So it kind of doesn't work out, but they can make it sound good for a year.
yeah. Unfortunately, I see that in academia. I see it. I've seen it in higher ed. I've seen it in corporate. I've seen it in nonprofits. It's definitely something where it's what's the new shiny object that somebody looked at and yeah, worst reason to ever implement or design
Mhm.
learning around a solution. I'd
Absolutely.
rather have one or two technologies in my classroom and allow that to be the core and
Mhm.
then insert other pieces here and there than just because it's the new shiny thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, not a good idea. So, but any other, I mean, were there you were able to find articles, which is great. Um, I would definitely recommend if you haven't already. I mean, there should be tons of additional research in case you're interested. Definitely the NJCU website should have quite a few articles in there.
Mhm.
If not, definitely good old Google Scholar should have a lot of things in that area. There's been a lot that's been written on this topic, so that you should definitely find some stuff. So
Yeah. Well, and that's it. That's where
awesome.
I'm at. I think it's pretty for me at least, it's pretty clear what needs to be done. So
Perfect. And for those of you who are watching the recording, if you are having trouble with your topic or you're not sure like what direction you can go in, I made your topics broad enough that you can kind of take it and do a deep dive. So for example, one person, which I believe was one person, in this case, Raquel, you had affective and social processing in online learning. That's a mouthful in terms of explanations, but you can look at it, for example, in terms of affect and online learning. You could look at emotions in the and learning in online context, right? You could kind of try different variations to see what makes the most sense. And if you're still not finding articles or if somebody gets bogged down with finding too many articles, reach out, let me know. I'll be happy to give you some guidance on where you might want to either search or what kind of search terms you might want to use just to help make it a little bit easier. Same thing with Samantha, you have extraneous processing, which is also known as a cognitive load. If you do a search for cognitive load, it's probably going to find tons of materials, but you want to focus on the extraneous processing piece as it relates to online learning. So you want to have as many keywords as possible to try to narrow your search. And then if you don't find what you're looking for, you can start making it a little bit broader so you can start to see what other subject areas exist. So if you continue to run into issues, hopefully you're not waiting till Sunday night of next week to do this, but hopefully if you have any questions, reach out to me during the week. I'll be glad to answer any emails on this. I don't have anything else at this point, and if no one else does, neither do you, Irma. Thank you, Irma, for joining us. I'm happy to give you your time back so you can go back and grade your papers. For
Mhm.
everyone that's watching this replay, please email me if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
yeah, have a good weekend.
Take care. And Irma, thank you again, and I'll see you online.
All right, thanks.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.